What's up, brick fans, and welcome to another episode of Building Batuu Galaxy's Edge in LEGO. On today's episode, I'm going to be taking you through an update on Dok-Ondar's building, which we looked at last week. I'm also going to take you through a new section that I've been working on, which is the underneath of Dok-Ondar's, including Savi's salvage facade, and then also a little spiral staircase which comes up and around to the front of Dok-Ondar's. So all of that's coming up on today's episode. So make sure you watch right to the end so you don't miss any of the content. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas on today's episode, please feel free to leave a comment below. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications bell so you don't miss any content coming up on the channel. Let's get into it. Here is an update on Dok-Ondar's. Last week you would have seen that I actually had it in a rotunda. That was a really good tester, and it's definitely made me decide that I'm going to be going with the tactic of this sort of inner wall, which is kind of built out of these kind of hinge bricks and sort of loops around. The outer panels like I had. So that's the sort of finished outer panels with now some lighting in here, which I will switch on in a second. This cool effect, it's pretty basic, but it's actually quite simplified and smooth while still getting these sort of 1x2s plates in there just to sort of break it up a little bit. I've found that this worked really, really well with my Ahsoka on Corvus mock, just mainly for the wall. And it works really, really well when you've got a lot of detailed pieces in front of it, which I'm actually going to have out the front of Dok-Ondar's. So this, I think, will work really well for this. Just back to this lighting, simply chuck these in. This is the latest Globe Bricks order that I had, and I've just slipped that underneath the tile, and then this wire will actually slip and run down the inside of this, in between the outer wall and the inner wall. Let's switch her on just to see how it looks. There you go. So I'm planning on doing a few night shoots with Batuu at some point. Quite like these, but I may go back to using some sort of yellow here, or maybe I'll just put some masking tape over this and get some diffusion in there. That's something that I realized with a lot of these LED lights. They really give off a very stark, harsh light in a lot of cases. And what I found with the Ahsoka on Corvus mock again was just putting some tape over this actually diffused it without making it look like there was tape on it. So that's something I probably would do a little tutorial on it just to show you guys how that kind of works and what I figured out with that. But that actually looks pretty cool. And some of these other components you would have seen last week, obviously the top of the black spire, which you will see in a minute. I've started the base of that, the door, the holocrons shelving, and the lightsaber table, Dok-Ondar's little cage. But now I think it's time just to jump into what I've really been working on most of this week. It is the underneath of Dok-Ondar's, obviously, which is the facade of Savi's salvage, which is the front of Savi's workshop, which is where you create all of the lightsabers at Galaxy's Edge. I've also done a fair bit of work on the spiral staircase up to the side, which tracks up round to the front of Dok-Ondar's, which is over there. You'd seen last episode of Dok-Ondar's, and that will basically sit up in this top section. Now here is the subfloor for that, which is made out of these kind of pier shapes. I tried a little different technique with this one other than just doing what I did with the Falcon, the section of the Falcon like this, with the just using a lot of kind of filler bricks. This one I've actually tried to go with more of a pier, which is using these long kind of thin pieces, which are pretty flimsy on their own. But when you combine them with these round pieces and sort of create this sort of round pillar, they're actually quite strong. And then I've put two big Technic beams through the middle, and that shouldn't have a lot of sort of movement and is quite strong and should hold a fair bit of weight. I'm pushing down on that pretty hard. I have been looking for some techniques to try and create just cheaper subfloors. So I will be doing some tutorials on some of the techniques I've come up with. For that, for people that are just really loose on parts and don't want to spend heaps on filler bricks and would rather spend money on kind of fun bricks, which everyone's actually going to see. One of the techniques I've got obviously is this pier here, and also things like using the letterboxes and just old panels and doors and things like that. So I'm going to do a tutorial a bit later on this week about how I go about making them as strong as possible. Heading over to Savvy's Salvage Front, and I will show you some of the reference here that I've been working off, just because I wanted to keep the look of the front of Savvy's, even though it usually isn't like at the park, it's not underneath Black Spire or Doc Ondars, but I've moved it there just to fit it better on the mock. And I feel like it's okay because from a story point of view, he would want to feel a little bit more hidden, I feel like. But what I've really tried to keep is this very distinct line of roughness at the bottom, and then this sort of smoothness on the top. So that's something that I've tried to do in here. And you can see that I've tried to do that with the dark tan pieces and just really tried to sort of craggy that up a bit. And then I've tried to smooth this section out with the tan. And that's just to get that same two-tone as the reference. The other thing that I've tried to keep in there is actually there's a very distinct kind of archway door there. And that's what I've tried to sort of keep in that section there. So that's actually the door that takes you through to Savvy's Salvage, which is going to be over there in the build. So you're actually going to like go through a tunnel through there, which you won't see, but that's the idea of it anyway. That essentially is the base work for Savvy's Salvage. And what it's going to look like. I'm not going to go crazy with detail in this section just because the rock's going to come up and over the top and you're not going to see a whole lot. Where the service desk is, which is here, and the shop front, this section will actually have, same as this in here, will have a cloth piece which runs in like this. Now that will actually be a custom cloth piece that I'm going to do on my vinyl cutter. I could have searched through and looked at some of the existing Lego stuff, but honestly, it would have been that hard to find something that would have matched exactly and got the sort of visuals that I wanted for that. So I've decided I'm just going to start doing some vinyl cuts myself and make the cloth piece anyway. So that should be a really fun trip, and I'm sure I'll do some tube videos on that one when that comes up. Other than that, I've just tried to do a little bit of sort of detailing in here with the chains, some clip pieces here, and just a couple of, I've actually just hooked some round bricks in there onto clips, and that worked pretty well, just as a little dangly sort of thing. And then I'll probably do the same thing on this side. And then just a little bit of greebly work up there just to kind of bring a bit of panels and things like that. The other thing over this side, obviously it's looking a little bit bare, but you'll notice that I've got a couple of snot pieces in here, here, and here. That will actually be similar to the reference here. These kind of brown rings, the rings here, I'm going to use life preservers, the brown life preservers in this section. So I haven't got any of those, so I'm just waiting for them to come in. But that should look pretty cool, I think, and give a bit of a feeling of similar to the reference and hopefully capture Savvy's. Obviously, I'm going to dress it up a little bit further with some more of these barrels in and around here, and just kind of some cabinets and stuff for all the scrap metal that you use to build the lightsabers. So I'm going to include all of that in there as well. But at the moment, I just wanted to get the archway and the base idea of that section in of Savvy's. Moving over to the spiral staircase. I'm actually pretty proud of this section because I've never done a spiral staircase before, but I'm pretty chuffed with how that's ended up. Basically what I've done is you'll see just in here, is a little bar that runs right the way down here. And then I've put kind of offset clips which go down there. And then that is clipped onto these sections, which are all tiles. And I wanted to sort of keep that kind of craggy, mossy tiles moving up there. which I think the effect looks pretty good from back here, which is what I was sort of going for. And you can see more steps through there. I've actually used some wedge plates further through. There you go. Just to create, again, a little bit of different angles and things through the stairs, make it a bit of interesting. And also I'm hoping to sort of be able to punch some light through this hole here to illuminate some of Vi Moradi down there, who, if anyone has been to Galaxy's Edge, you'll know that Vi Moradi is the resistance spy that actually founded the Batuu base. So she's from the Galaxy's Edge novel also. The cover of that actually has her kind of in a hallway, or I think it's actually right next to Black Spire Station, but I wanted to sort of put her in here as a little vignette that she's sort of sneaking around. And I think that looking up the stairs through to there would look pretty cool. So that's why Vi Moradi's in there. Generally, I think I made some good progress this week, and I'm going to continue just sort of punching along with this top archway here and kind of really sitting that in and amongst this section here and getting the base flooring on next for Dok-Ondars. I am starting to clear off some of the kind of temporary structures that I had mainly over in that section there, because I know where things are going to go now. I have kept a few sort of temporary things just to give me a bit of an idea of the exact kind of lines that I wanted to keep in terms of splitting up the real estate. But now essentially I've got enough bricks that I can be putting out weekly stuff. My primary goal is to get Dok-Ondars finished, but if I'm waiting for whatever reason on parts, I do have enough to get started on the Droid Factory, the marketplace, and over the subfloor and all that type of thing. You guys should be able to expect weekly episodes now every Sunday. That is the goal, just to get this thing really moving in the next month or so. I'm really happy with the progress so far, and hopefully you guys are too. Let me know what you think about all of this facade and the spiral staircase in the comments below. And if you guys got any ideas or anything that you think would be cool in here, please let me know as well in the comments. And I'll try and get through. If you got any questions or anything on any of the techniques, please leave a comment below. Okay, guys, so there's the update on the build today. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you guys see where it's going to. Again, if you feel like you want to leave any comments, got any questions or ideas that I can put into the build, please drop them below. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of this content coming up. I've got my Ahsoka on Corvus behind the scenes series coming up that's going to be running through the next couple of weeks. I've also got a few tutorials that I'm going to be putting out. Plus, I am working on a brand new mock, which is sort of a mid-size mock that I'll be working on while I work on the bigger mock. So please stay tuned for that. You'll be seeing that one, the start of that later this week. Hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video, guys. And until next time, may the bricks be with you.